Hannah Murray.
Good morning. It's just coming up to 9:20. We're going over to the UK now to speak to John Lee. He's the CEO and co-founder of Wealth Dragons. John started investing in property in his early 20s, and by the time he was 27, he'd achieved his goal of becoming a self-made millionaire. His experiences inspired him to share his knowledge with others, and he was soon teaching seminars in property investment throughout the UK. He's now gained an international reputation as a motivational speaker and has shared stages with the likes of Bill Clinton, Alan Sugar and Richard Branson. He and his business partner Vincent Wong have put a book together called The Wealth Dragon Way: The Why, the When and the How to Become Infinitely Wealthy. Sounds good to me. Welcome to the show, John.
Hi, Hannah. Thank you for having me.
Oh, pleasure. Thanks very much for joining us. So, it sort of sounds all so easy, this. Do you really think we can all be wealthy?
Well, it's like anything. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's like if you want to lose weight, it's very simple, isn't it? You just eat less and exercise more.
Yeah, true. So, how did you get into this then? You say you started investing in properties in your early 20s. You must have had a little bit of money to start with, though.
No, actually, I didn't. There's a saying: there's never a lack of money, only a lack of creativity. One of the first houses I bought for $85,000. I sold it for $185,000, and literally, I had no money to buy this house. And so I had to ask people around me, who had that. And literally, it was kind of a numbers game. You just go around asking people, hey, I've got this deal. Do you have the money to invest? So, it's never a lack of money. It's only ever a lack of creativity.
That's interesting. So you got lots of people to invest into this property then. How does that work when buying a property?
Well, if I came to you, Hannah, and said, hey, I've got this property, it's worth, $200,000, but I'm buying it for $100,000. So there's an immediate £100,000 or euro of equity in there. So there's a saying in the property business, and that saying is, when you find a deal, the money finds you.
Sounds easy. It sounds good.
You've just got to get yourself out there, because a lot of people are too fearful to stop. They there's a saying that fear stands for false evidence appearing real. Like 99% of your fears, never really materialize. And when most people start in business, they don't know how to start. So you got to find someone. So when I first started, I sold my car, and I sat down with a mentor, because if you want to achieve a result, you got to find someone who's been there and done that. And literally, I paid this guy £10,000 for 2 days worth of consultancy, and within 6 months, I bought 35 houses. And most people, they invest in property the wrong way.
Yes.
Most people think that you need to get a mortgage and then you need to have a down payment, and that's it's a very old way of thinking to be able to buy property. Now there's new ways to buy it, and there's a concept called OPM, and that stands for other people's money. And if you look at all the successful entrepreneurs in the world, people like the Donald Trumps, all these, everyone in the Sunday Times Rich List, the way they buy property, they buy it through leverage. They use other people's money and other people's resources to be able to invest in property.
So how would that work then? If people are listening and saying, okay, I'd like the sound of using other people's money to invest in property, where do you suggest people start?
Well, the first thing to start is I first found a lot of money through seminars. Like Felix Dennis, I learned something from him, and he said, you need to go to where the money is. So do you know there's events all around the world that's happening right now where investors with a lot of money, they go to these events and they look for places to put their money. So you just got to find an event to go to where all these investors are hanging around, and speak to them, create a relationship, because there's a concept called relational capital. So in every relationship, it's not about the money; it's about the relationships. It's not about who knows. Everyone always says, "Hey, it's who you know in business." It's not. It's who knows you in the business.
Yes.
So you have to be visible. Most people are invisible. That's why they can never achieve success, because they're invisible. No one knows they exist.
A lot of it is to do with attitude, isn't it? And changing your attitude towards money, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people are brought up with the saying. I mean, in the book, The Wealth Dragon Way that we wrote, we talk about parallel universes. Like, people have heard the saying, money doesn't buy you happiness, or money is the root of all evil. Well, actually, Hannah, it's the lack of money that is the root of all evil. When people don't have money, they do bad things. And in the book, we talk about, the parallel universes where, money only magnifies who you are. If you look at the Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, they're huge philanthropists. You see, when you have more money, you can do more things with it. You can help more people. You can give back. You have more choice in life. And so when people are, they have their kind of, it's what we call a self-worth. Like everyone listening to me right now, if you think about how much money you earn in a year, if I asked you to do the same job for half the price, you'd probably say no, because you go, well, I wouldn't do that job because I'm worth more.
Yeah.
And so everyone has what we call a self-worth. And unless we grow that self-worth, we'll always end up earning what we've always earned.
I see what you mean. I mean, it's one of the other things you talk about in the book, which I guess is a similar concept. Stop trading time for money. How would we do? How do we do that?
Well, a lot of people, when we grow up, we get taught to go to school, get a job, and then eventually, we die. So what happens is we need to find ways to create passive income. So in today's society, there's so many different ways to do that. And there's over 1,800 people this year that have become self-made billionaires, not millionaires, billionaires. And the reason they're able to do that is because there's so many different opportunities. I mean, in the book, we talk about the wealth superhighway. So the first thing you invest in is assets, things that increase in value. So property, if you own a lot of property now, it increases in value all the time. Number two is you've got to invest in a passive income vehicle. So, you can buy stock, you can trade currency, you can start an online business. Anyone right now can start an online business, work from home, work whenever they want, from anywhere in the world. And the third one is to start an actual business itself. So when you create a business, for example, a property business, if you have a property that's worth 100,000 and the mortgage payments on that are £300 or €300, and you can rent it for €600, then you make €300 profit. So if you have 10 of those, you make 3,000. So that's why you have to combine OPM and then buy property to produce passive income, or create a business to produce a passive income. So you're not having to trade time for money. Most of us have been taught to, hey, you want to earn more money, get another job. They don't say go out and create some passive income or flip some deals or trade some currency. That's one of the reasons why we wrote the book, to educate people to say, hey, there's a choice. If you don't like your job right now, if you want to work from home, if you want choice to do what you want, when you want, with whoever you want, then follow these strategies, and that will create passive income.
Yeah. With regards to property, though, surely a lot of, obviously a lot of it has to do with smart choices and buying the right property in the right area, that kind of thing. But surely luck can come into it. I mean, obviously with the property crash, a lot of people are still trying to recover from that. A lot of people may have bought property that is now worth a lot less than it was when they bought it. How are they supposed to recover from that?
Interesting. You see, here's the thing. Do you know most millionaires are made in a downturn rather than an upturn? If you know the right strategy, you can buy in a market where it's going up, down, and sideways. And there's one fundamental rule in property, and you have to make money when you buy, because there's only two risks that come with property. Number one, if you buy a house and the property price drops, then there's a risk. Or number two, you buy the property, the interest rates increase in value, and then it can cost you a lot of money to pay that. So the first rule is when you buy the house, you have to buy the discount. So in the UK, the property's only ever dropped maximum 15%. So when you come to buy a property, you've got to buy it at minimum 20 to 25%. And I know a lot of people listening to me right now thinking, John, that's impossible. Trust me, our students and myself and all my investors, we're doing this in very high appreciable areas like central London and areas around London. Areas where you think people can't get a discount is actually you got to know how to find the deals. That's one of the fundamentals, and that's one of the things my teacher told me, Vincent Wong. Vincent said you got to find the deals. When you find the deals, you'll find the finance, and you make the money when you buy, not when you sell.
So for people who maybe haven't done that, any tips on kind of getting over that milestone? If people are sitting on a property that is worth less than it was when they bought it, any tips on how to recover from that?
Oh, absolutely. See, it's about being creative. You should always think out of the box. So the first thing people can do, if you're in a situation where your house is worth less than what you paid for it, first thing you can do is you can do something called forced appreciation. So if I were to say to you, Hannah, which is worth more, a 3-bedroom house or a 4-bedroom house, then of course the 4-bedroom house is worth more. So one thing you can do to your house is things you can do to your house, and you can maximize square footage in a house to increase the value. Because if you bought a property that's gone down in value, trust me, over time, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, if it has to be, over time it will always go up in value.
Yes.
Right? Over time it will always go up in value because of economies of scale. Right? And also as well, the great thing about property is there's so many different things you can do with it. So if you want to increase your passive income, you've heard of Airbnb. People now are renting out their bedrooms and charging £300-400, per bedroom, depending on which area you are. So your house can now, that's what I love about technology. Technology now has allowed every one of us to be able to, become a self-entrepreneur, to become what I call a solopreneur. So if people have got 4 bedrooms right now they're not using, they can rent those out and make money from it. They can add another bedroom to the property. They can refurbish it and make it look nicer. So over time, it appreciates faster. So there's so many things you can do. I know we only have a short time on here, but if people read the book, they'll understand some of the creative ways we were able to buy property. I mean, So
a lot of it is, as you said, thinking outside the box, and just trying to think of ways and doing whatever you can. I think that, sadly, a lot of people might just moan about their situation and say, there's nothing I can do about it. I've made a bad choice and I'm screwed kind of thing. But there are lots of things that people can do to try and change their situation, I guess.
Well, one rule I've learned, Hannah, is this in business. I've been in business many years, is that you've got to get yourself educated. If you don't get yourself educated, then you will end up losing money. I have so many people who just go blindly and invest without even educating themselves. Like if you're going to jump out of a plane, you would get some training first and jump out of a plane with someone on tandem before you jump out yourself.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in property. That's why I sold my car. My friends and family thought I was crazy. They thought it was too risky. I said, well, how do you know? Well, your dad told me. How did Dad know? Well, he read it on the news. And then when you're successful, they go, hey, you know what, John? I knew you had the potential. So you have to get educated, read books, find mentors, hang around people who are already doing it. If I want to lose weight, I'm not going to find someone who's overweight and ask them to say, hey, train me to be fit. You've got to find people who walk the walk, talk the talk, been there, done that, and got the T-shirt. That's why you need a mentor.
Yes, absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. If people want more information about the Wealth Dragon Way, they can go onto your website, wealthdragonway.com, and, of course, get a copy of the book that we've been talking about, The Wealth Dragon Way, The Why, The When, and How to Become Infinitely Wealthy by John Lee and Vincent Wan. John, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Talk Radio Europe. Can you imagine enjoying a lunch or